You are listening to the Fab Female Nutrition Podcast, episode 166. Hey there, I'm your host, Wendy Hill, and I'm a nutritional therapist and expert in female hormone health. I specialise in helping women gain confidence and understanding their bodies, allowing them to shine. This podcast allows me to share the knowledge I've built up, along with bringing you guest experts to support you in your journey. How are you doing? Welcome to another week of the podcast. So I am recording this and the clocks have just changed. And we've also had a full moon and an eclipse of the moon. And I have to be honest, I'm talking to lots of my friends at the moment who are saying that we all feel a little bit out of sorts. So I'm going to level up with you guys and tell you that this week, my podcast has been recorded quite late. So I generally record my podcast because I have a team. So I have the lovely Ben who edits the podcast. And then I have Ella who kind of does some of the social media things for me. So I generally record my podcast a couple of weeks before so that it doesn't put them under pressure to have to get their bits done first. And I am late. So I am recording this just over a week before. So still enough time, not too late, but I don't like to do things at the last minute. And I am not recording the podcast episode that I was going to record because I can't find my notes. And I've had them on my PC for ages. I wrote them out, 2 podcast episodes about your why. Did all the notes for them and everything. And I did them while I was traveling. So I didn't have Wi-Fi. So I had them on a Word document. I don't think I saved the Word document. I can't find it in my unsaved folders. I have no idea where it is. So I'm going to have to rewrite it. So this week I'm bringing you a slightly different one because actually I need to get it recorded. So if you are feeling a little bit out of sorts at the minute, then welcome to the blooming club. So like I said, I don't know if it's hormones or whether it's the moon cycle or what, but I am not feeling myself at the moment. So my apologies if I stumble a bit this week. We have got a great, actually, it gave me the opportunity to think about what I've been doing. And I've literally just finished delivering a fatigue session for the wonderful Salus. I'll put a link to Salus in the show notes. So they are a chronic fatigue charity that I do some work with. We've just done a session and part of the session was what I'm going to talk about today. So I thought, actually, I know this. I've done it. I've done it earlier. I can knock that out in a few minutes. So it's still a good episode, but I'm going to be honest with you. And I also just want to say, while I'm here, to pad out a bit, no, I'm kidding. While I'm here, say thank you because I had a wonderful review and I haven't said thank you yet because I was recording at different times and I didn't have it available. Anyway, it's from the lovely Lucy B55. So Lucy B55, if you know who you are, thank you so much for leaving me a review. It was a few weeks ago now. And Lucy said, I absolutely love listening to Wendy's podcast. She offers lots of nutritional advice that is both sensible and achievable without being all scientific and difficult to understand. I learn something new every time I listen with so many light bulb moments where it all makes sense. I'm starting to make positive changes that I can actually stick to. Wendy's so down to earth, honest, passionate, inspirational. She's easy to listen to and engaging, and it makes it feel like she's sat there with you one-to-one. Thank you, Wendy. No, thank you, Lucy. Absolutely made my day when I read that because that is exactly what I hope from the podcast. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for leaving me a review. And obviously, you guys, if you're listening, you haven't left me a review yet, but have a listen to this one first. No, it's a good one. Do, if you can, pop and leave me a review and share it with your friends. It's the best way that you can get the word out there. So today, actually, it's going to be a good one. It really is, honestly. I was quite pleased with myself, but I just wanted to be honest and say it wasn't my originally planned one. But today, I'm going to be talking about a healthy diet and my 4 ingredients to a healthy diet. So firstly, I think we need to start thinking about what is a healthy diet. It's a term that has been bandied about so much now that I think it's very vague. It's very nondescript, and it's really not helpful. And nutritionists and dietitians and your gym guy and your PT and your buddies will all be saying to you, oh, you just need to eat a healthy diet. Well, what does a blooming healthy diet look like? And actually, a healthy diet for some people would not be a healthy diet for others. So let's think about a coeliac, for example. They can't eat gluten. So we talk about a Mediterranean diet all the time. It's the one that I would say, like, oh, Mediterranean diet, it's always on all the, studies and all the tests and stuff. But often a Mediterranean diet would include gluten, which is not a healthy diet for a celiac. What if you've got dairy intolerance? What if you don't eat meats? What if you're vegetarian or vegan? Then your healthy diet would look considerably different to another one. It is a very wide and far-reaching sort of point that has a term that has no point to it. And then you could then go really, really deep and say, well, it's, X amount of calories per day and a certain amount of protein per day. And then we need a certain amount of vitamin C every day. And we might need a certain amount of vitamin D every day. And the list goes on and on. And then it just gets mind-blowing, doesn't it? And then you get all the conflicting information from the newspapers. How many portions of fruit and veg should I have? I made a smoothie today, and someone quite rightly said, in my demo, I made a smoothie, and someone quite rightly said, well, I read that you shouldn't have smoothies because it's not good for your blood sugar levels. Well, yes, actually, that can be the case in some cases, but it's if you've got too much sugar in it. So we'd put things like flax seeds in and hemp seeds, and we've got quite a lot of veggies in there, so that would balance out the sugar. And we got some berries, but we hadn't got lots of fruit in there. And I'm like, it's a bit about balance. If you buy one from the supermarket and it's just oranges and bananas and apples and things, that's going to really ump your blood sugar levels up. But if we took the ingredients from the smoothie that I made, we could have those in a bowl and eat them. You might not want them all together. It does taste different when you have it as a smoothie. But in principle, there isn't, like, if there was 8 apples or 4 apples in a smoothie that you have, and some of them do have that much in them, or 4 oranges in them, you wouldn't eat 4 oranges. But I had like a good handful of berries. Well, you did get a handful of berries. So yes and no. And this is the problem, because it becomes all too confusing and stuff. So I want you to firstly think about what does food need to give us? So the first thing, before we think about what's on a healthy plate, before I give my 4 ingredients, we need to think about what food gives us, or what it needs to give us. And food needs to contain all the essential ingredients that we need for health. And when I say essential ingredients, I mean the things that we cannot make for ourselves. That is the whole point of food, is it's giving us the things that our body won't be able to make. We call them essential vitamins and minerals because our body does not make them. They're essential, we eat them. We need them for all of life, to make everything, to make cells, to make muscles, to make protein. We eat protein, to make hormones. That was what I was looking for. Hormones, brain fog today, to make hormones. We need them. They are health promoting ingredients. So, we think about, we need protein, we need carbohydrate, we need fats, we need, but then we also need things like antioxidants. They're health promoting, they help heal damage. Then phytonutrients would contain things like lycopene and resveratrol and beta carotene. Have you turned off yet? I'm not surprised if you had, because it's just, what? That is too confusing. Unless you are a nutritionist, or you have had, a very complex meal plan created for you by a nutritionist, you are just going down a road that becomes more and more complicated, more and more difficult. And then you end up making no decision because you get decision fatigue. And you're like, I don't know if this is healthy or not. I don't know if this is part of a healthy diet. So you know what? I'm just going to have fish and chips because that's what I feel like. And that's not to say fish and chips isn't healthy, but not the best. So I want to give you something really, really simple and really, really quick. And this is going to be a quick episode today as well, so you can listen to this one nice and quickly. So 4 really simple rules. Rule number 1, or ingredient number 1. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at your plate of food. So every time you sit down to have a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, because we don't snack, do we? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's a whole other podcast episode. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Every time you sit down to a meal, I want you to look at your plate and go, do I have these 4 things on my plate? So number 1, protein. Okay, it is the first ingredient for ourselves. We need it to make everything. If we don't have protein, we are not making anything. So protein, and we need it in every meal, guys. So breakfast is one that I often see people don't have protein in, but think about it with every meal. So if you're having a vegetable soup for lunch, that won't necessarily have protein in it, or not enough protein in it. So you might need to add some nuts to it. So you might have a bowl with soup and a handful of nuts by the side of it. That would give you some more protein. If you are a meat eater, you might decide to go to a chicken and vegetable soup rather than just plain vegetable soup. Add some lentils to your vegetable soup. That will give you some more protein. So protein, number one ingredient. Make sure you have protein with your meal. Help you stay fuller for longer, and you need it for everything. And then we have your last ingredient, which is a healthy fat, a small amount of healthy fat with each meal. So you might choose to include something like a coconut milk. Maybe you've got cashews in that lovely veggie curry that you've got. Perhaps it's been cooked in olive oil, so you've got some olive oil there, but you want some healthy fats. Now, we use fats to make many of our hormones. Healthy fats like omega-3 are also great for our brain function. They also help reduce inflammation as well. There you go. It's as simple as that. Your 4 ingredients to a healthy plate are protein, colour, fibre, and a little bit of healthy fat. If you have those 4 things on your plate every day, every meal, you've got a healthy diet. I hope you're really well. Take care. Love you all. See you next week. Thank you for watching this excerpt of this week's Fab Female Nutrition podcast. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, then the link is in the notes below.